and welcome to Mary Elizabeth Jones's Variety Hour with my special guest star,
Yeah,
Kaye
hey!
Lazar.
Kaye Lazar, here I am, finally. I
Yes.
was a little late getting here.
Yes.
I had to hitchhike. Little old lady from Pasadena was picking me up. She only drove once a week. It was you again. Get in the car. Now she got me here. So, all is good. All is good. So we're in the swing of the season.
Yes.
This is actually one of the best weeks of the year. It's not the week before Christmas, but the week before the week before Christmas.
Yes.
And what's great about that is that this is when all the parties and all the people start kind of wrapping up their work
Right,
year
right.
and everything. Wait a minute, it's 2020. None of that is going on this year. But we're trying to be Christmassy and
Right.
and
Yes,
everything. And
yes,
so I'm wearing a Christmas tie. First, let's see your lovely shirt. Believe in
And it's got a little Rudolph.
Believe in
Sparkling
Rudolph.
Yes.
Believe in Rudolph.
Yes. So.
Yes. Speaking of Rudolph, this is a coincidence. We're both wearing Rudolph themed attire.
Yes.
We should be in the Sears catalog,
Yeah.
the Wish Book,
Yeah.
but not the underwear section. That's just for comedy.
Right. Right.
The Christmas Wish Book when I was a kid, the Sears catalog was
Oh yeah.
all the toys. Buy me this. I want this. I want this. I don't know why I was asking my mother and father to buy me stuff when I should have been asking Santa Claus. Maybe I said maybe they have a
Yeah.
they
right.
they have a good connection to Santa Claus. But anyway,
Right.
so I was oh man. What was there any like toys when you were a kid, like in the Sears? They actually call it the Wish Book. Was there any toys in the Sears catalog you really wanted that you always asked for, and every once in a while you got or whatever?
I've always wanted the Rainbow Bright dolls.
The Rainbow Bright dolls.
Yes.
Is that the one with the? No, that's not the pony with the rainbow tail.
It is.
Oh, that is okay.
Yes.
Rainbow Bright is the pony.
The pony's name is I think it's trying to think. I forgot the name, but
Rainbow Bright, they're not girls. They're horses, right?
no, they're girls.
They're girl. Okay.
One of them.
I'm a boy. I don't know these people.
Yeah,
So don't start writing hate mail to me because I don't know this. So, but tell me about Rainbow Bright. Let you talk.
Yeah, I did get some of the dolls, years ago, and I still have one of them till this day.
Mm-hmm.
It was her name was Patty Green.
Okay.
She had the green hair and she was all green.
Oh, real punk rocker.
Yeah.
Green hair.
Yeah. So.
Right from Christmas. Now,
yes.
And I guess you like the Barbies. You got different dresses for them and everything.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
For the Barbie dolls and all that. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And did they come in a big dollhouse or something?
No. Mine never came with a dollhouse. I had to buy a dollhouse separate. So.
Oh, of course. So they
Yeah.
have nothing. Everything is a la carte. There's no package deal with these things. You know, the Barbie dolls, and I know this because I have so many little girls in my life because of my sisters.
Yeah.
They would want the dolls. And the dolls, I don't think were all that expensive.
Right.
They were like maybe in those days like $6 or $7.
Right.
But then you had to buy these dresses like for $10, and this is where they kind of got you.
Oh wow! Yeah.
I want this dress. I want that dress. Well, then it's basically an ensemble, which I think a lot of girls had better. Their Barbies had fancier clothes to wear than they did.
Yeah.
Well, I only have the one good. I have the one good church dress. I only wear at the funerals and maybe maybe someone gets married.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. But anyway, they would. That's how they got you. And then you grow up and things don't really change that much. Because let me tell you something. When you're a man, you have to shave your face all the time.
Right.
You buy a razor.
Right.
Or they give you a razor sometimes,
Right.
a Gillette razor or a Schick razor.
Right.
And then you have to keep buying the blades to go on it.
Oh wow.
And they can be expensive sometimes.
I know.
So in other words, by giving you the free razor with the blades, they got you addicted to the blades.
Right.
It reached its apogee when the computer age came,
Uh-huh.
and there was something called a printer. If you remember that on your computer, there was something that you printed. And if you're like me, when you first got a computer, you were so excited. Every email you got, it wasn't enough to have it
Yeah.
online or on your computer or even
Yeah.
I don't even think we downloaded them so much.
Right.
We
Right.
had them printed on paper. We were still addicted to paper in those days.
Right.
And the printer could be a reasonable price, 50 to $100,
Mm.
but the toner cartridge was like $200. And you pretty much burned through that thing maybe after 2 months.
Oh wow.
And that's not even using it all that much. If you were at a
Mm.
company, you'd use it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then that $50 printer cost you hundreds and hundreds of dollars in toner. So
Wow.
people, let's face it, luckily the computer age was such that so many people were into it and so many people were messed up with it that why are we spending so much on toner? Do we need all this paper? I thought the whole point of computers we don't need paper. So then there was the Adobe and the
Right.
PDFs and
Yeah. Oh yeah.
download to
Yeah.
and then attached to an email and to the point where we won't even need paper so much anymore. We're saving all these trees now.
Right.
And we put the printer people and the toner people out of business. Now the companies can still spend the money because they got plenty of money, but the
Right.
individual people like you and me, we don't
Yeah.
have money for all that.
Right.
So
Right.
so always remember, whenever you get something free, it's not free.
Yeah.
There's always a price. And if you don't
Oh.
pay for it with your if you don't pay for it with your wallet, you pay for it with your soul.
Wow.
And you don't want that to happen. So
Yeah.
anyway, rainbow. What other toys did you like?
Sierra, the Princess of Power.
Okay.
They're like little figures.
Mhm.
They're kind of like He-Man dolls, but it's a girl version of
Girl,
He-Man.
she woman,
Yeah.
not He Man.
Yeah.
Now what do
But
they call it again?
Sierra, the Princess of Power.
She-Ra, the Princess of Power.
Yeah, I
Okay.
used to have a bunch of them when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I always wanted the Crystal Castle with it, but
Yeah.
I never got it.
Yeah.
So, but I did get the dolls.
Go to yard sales. You'll probably find a lot of those crystal castles.
Oh yeah.
Or go to
So,
eBay.
yeah, yeah, eBay.
eBay is one big yard sale.
Yeah.
There's no there are when I was a kid there was the Cabbage Patch
Oh,
dolls.
I used to have those too. I still have some of
Well, I
those.
mean, we didn't get them the first go around because everyone wanted them
Yeah.
and they were all bought up.
Oh yeah.
And there was a rush and then over the years there was always a new thing. Tickle Me Elmo, that was a
Oh
little after my
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And uh, Power Ranger, stuff like that. But I do remember the first big thing for Christmas was the that in my time was because I had a pretty simple Christmas
Yeah.
season. I mean, usually whatever you wanted, you could go to the store and buy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then this Cabbage Patch doll was just crazy. There's also something called Teddy Ruxpin doll.
Oh, I always wanted that too, but I never got that either.
We got that, and my family got that, and it was great. But the only problem was it was a very good toy, but it was such a delicate toy that it would break a lot to the
Oh.
point where you got just fed up with it. But in theory, it was a very nice toy because it was this very you used to put a
Yeah.
tape or record in.
Yeah.
I mean that it came with, and it would tell a story, and it would move its mouth perfectly. Yeah, to in sync with the
Oh
with
yeah.
it, and it was quite it's really good thing. But like I said, kids don't take care of stuff, so they throw them. They eat their morning breakfast on it. They step on it when they get out of bed. That
Right.
and thus they would break a lot, and that was that. Now the Cabbage Patch doll didn't have any of that. It was just a doll, but
Uh,
for some reason they sold it. They marketed it as this stuff you gotta
right.
have.
Right.
And there are crazy stories about the Cabbage Patch doll. They it would come with a birth certificate and a
Oh yeah.
name.
Yeah.
Okay, so something that's this is actually there are urban legends about it. One is that there was a priest that was trying to get kids back into the church, so he would, if you could bring um, uh, your Cabbage Patch Kid to the to this particular service,
Yeah.
he would come and baptize each one of your Cabbage Patch Kids,
Wow.
which you had birth certificates, must have, can be baptized. Well, what
Yeah.
happened was the story goes is that he expected maybe a couple of dozen kids to come.
Yeah.
Something like 500 kids came, and
Wow.
and it basically took all day because they needed like 10 minutes for
Right.
each,
Wow. Wow.
and to the point where I think they had to close the church at one part of the day for a wedding, and
Wow.
people were out. What?
Wow.
I came all the way from 50 miles away to
Wow.
bring with my brat with the Cabbage Patch Kids to be
Wow.
baptized.
Ah.
It was just nothing but trouble. And then there was another story where the company who made Cabbage Patch Kids. This is kind of weird. Um, uh, it's a terrible story. The dog either a dog chewed up the Cabbage Patch Kid or it fell into like a lawnmower and got run over by a lawnmower and got
Wow.
shredded up.
Wow.
So the company they wrote a letter to the company and they said uh, we want our money back. We need a refund or we need a replacement of the Cabbage Patch Kid. So so what happened was the company sent back and said we need proof that this Cabbage Patch Kid is destroyed. So they got the pieces they could and the fluffing and the stuffing and the feathers and whatever and stuck it in a box and wrote another letter and sent it back. He said, here it is. And the company sent back a death certificate.
Oh no. Oh no.
And then that family went on the Today Show or something, and then the company was shamed into sending him an exact replica, which they had, I'm sure, a few hundred of. Now, what happened was, I think what happened, like a lot of these fads, they must keep the number low. So then when there's they don't know they're going to sell them all, and then they
Right.
do sell them all, and then people are fighting over them.
Uh-huh.
And then next year, of course, they have plenty of them because they know people want them. And then next year says, "Well, we're on to something else already. We don't need them
Yeah.
anymore."
Yeah.
we,
Yeah.
I told my kids they could do without one, and they, believe it or not, kind of moved on to the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what else? Oh, there's a movie about that. A very funny movie. It got
Oh.
terrible reviews with Arnold Schwarzenegger called Jingle All the Way,
Oh.
and as if Sinbad and Arnold Schwarzenegger are trying to find a superhero doll for their kids that
Oh.
cannot be found. It's all the adventures him going through, and it's a very
Oh
funny movie
wow.
to the point where near the end, it gets so bad that Arnold Schwarzenegger has to dress up like the superhero. And he doesn't know there's a jetpack on it, and he starts flying around. And then Sinbad, the comedian, had the only other costume to do was his villain, and they were basically fighting over the rights to the last doll in town or something. It's a pretty wild movie. It's a really good movie.
I like to see it. I've
Jingle
heard of
All
it,
the
but I haven't
Way,
seen it. Yeah,
and
Jingle All the Way.
every time I usually around like I don't do this a lot, only maybe
Right.
the day or two before Christmas and probably through the day of Christmas. I wear a bell that somebody gave me and I'm ringing it. And everyone knows when I'm coming. Ding 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 ding. Ding. I'm not wearing it now because it's too early. But anytime someone actually yelled this to me, "Jingle all the way, Kevin." And I said, "Yes." So now when I walk and they hear, "Where's that bell coming from?" I say, "Jingle all the way." From that movie, yeah, or from that song.
Yeah.
So now the Jingle Bells
Right.
Christmas song.
Right.
You know, I did they really have a karaoke version of Christmas of a Jingle Bells? Because let me tell you something about Jingle Bells, the song. Uh, Everyone knows the words. You don't really need words at the bottom to know
Yeah.
when to come in on Jingle Bells.
Right. Right. Right.
No, Jingle Bells, the song, maybe one of the two or three most popular songs ever written. No, there is no mention of Christmas in the whole song.
What?
It's a sleigh ride. It's all about sleigh
Yeah,
riding.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a song, not a carol.
Uh,
But I got Rudolph here,
yeah.
and got the abominable snowman, and then you have Rudolph, of course. This from the animated puppet thing
Right.
from the '60s. Or
I
so far.
have Rudolph too.
Yeah, and then you
Yay.
got Rudolph. Yeah, there's my Rudolph. And then you have
Yeah.
the elf that wanted to be the dentist. I forget his name.
Oh, Herbie. Herbie.
Herbie.
Yeah.
And then I've seen it so many times actually.
Yeah.
But all I really came out of it was I really liked the Burl Ives guy.
Me too.
Because not because he was so good, but because I like Burl Ives a lot.
Yeah, me too.
And I remember in college we some guy brought a Burl Ives album. And everyone in college brings their own stereo and a lot of their albums and tapes. And this is
Right.
back in the day, before CDs. And one guy brought a Burl Ives LP of like sea chanties, like a pirate or like a seaman would sing.
Okay.
And we just wanted to hear that over and over. Forget about the Aerosmith and, and Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden, all those other things. Oh, teenage boys like to listen to. We were so captivated, and we did have an affinity to this guy singing Burl Ives because of we knew him from the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer show. Burl Ives, of course, won an Oscar for the Wild Country or a really good movie. He won an Oscar as an actor, and he was a good. So he's famously in the movie Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. He plays Big Daddy. Yeah, and Burl Ives is also famous. There was a famous. We talk about the theater a lot.
Right.
This was actually told to me personally by a friend of an Irish woman who knew Burl Ives and knew Tennessee Williams wrote all these great plays like Cat on a Hot Tin Roof and Streetcar Named Desire and you name it. A lot of Sweet Bird of Youth. And
Yeah, yeah.
Tennessee Williams was famously gay, and they used to wonder if certain gay writers were his lovers. People like I don't know, like Gore Vidal or like I even heard Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde died in like 1890s, in the 1890s. He wasn't even born yet. But then I said, this woman told it to me personally that Tennessee Williams' best friend was Burl Ives, and that not a love relationship, but just best friend, just because they were friends. So and story goes that Burl Ives lived in Ireland part of the years. So did John Huston, and Burl Ives lived in Ireland part of the year. And what would happen was every once in a while, have guests, famous people would come to visit him, and every once in a while, Tennessee Williams would come. Now, Tennessee Williams, sadly, drank himself to death. Tennessee Williams died with a cap. He was drinking a beer, and the cap on a bottle, and you drink it, and if you're drunk enough, or you'll pick it up, and if it's just laying on there, it got caught in the throat and killed him.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
After that happened, there was a time when you could take a can of soda or a can of beer or something and take it off. You had that pull top.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not like it is now. It's because people would put it in there because there was no what place to put it, and they drink it, and like every once in a while, someone would die with that thing get caught in their throat. Wow. So I always was I'm not going to put that in after what happened to Tennessee Williams.
Wow.
So he went. So anyway, Tennessee Williams was drinking in Ireland, which happens. Yeah. Drinking in Ireland. Who'd ever think that? Yeah. With Burl Ives, who could drink a lot. Yeah. Big guy, huge guy. And Tennessee Williams was like a guy like me, not a big guy. Right. So evidently, they both got really drunk, and Tennessee Williams made a pass at Burl Ives. And Burl Ives, being an old-fashioned guy, said, "No, hey, none of this." So he got so mad at Tennessee Williams that he in the bar. I think it was a bar. He picked him up and threw him to the other side of the room, and then did it. And Tennessee Williams was terrified. And then he thought Burl Ives was going to kill him, and he walked over to Tennessee Williams and held out his hand, and pulled him up off the floor.
Oh
And he goes,
wow.
"Don't you ever try that again." Let's have some more. Let's drink some more. That was the Burl Ives story I had.
Okay.
Burl Ives uh, Burl Ives' big hit was Jimmy Crack Corn.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
care.
Yeah. Jimmy crack corn and I don't care. Jimmy crack corn and I don't care. The master's gone away.
Yeah, yeah, the wild song.
Yeah.
It's actually called the Blue Tail Fly,
Oh
and
yeah, the
that's
blue tail
so
fly.
everyone knows it as think of it as Jimmy Crack Corn,
Yeah, yeah.
but when you if you're looking for it on an album, it's the Blue Tail Fly. And
Oh.
he was very good at singing like Stephen Foster songs and spirituals,
Right.
and he was great at it. Burl
Mm.
Ives. So I recommend. I'm sure he has a Christmas album,
Yeah, he
probably
does.
with
Rudolph
Rudolph
the
song
Red-Nosed
with Rudolph
Reindeer.
songs on it.
Yeah.
Silver and Gold is what it, I guess.
Silver and gold, silver and gold. Everyone wishes for silver and gold.
Yeah, that Rudolph. I think that's like the definitive story of Rudolph. I understand. I didn't know this. It originated maybe in the 1930s. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer
Yeah.
as a add-on to the a visit from Saint Nick, the
Right.
famous one.
Uh-huh.
And then that was written a good while ago. And then
Right.
and then and then the song by Gene Autry, which is still
You
one of
did
the
Rudolph the
greatest.
Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah, the song by Johnny Marks,
Yeah.
um, and Gene Autry had the hit with that. And then that song is now a perennial hit every year.
Yeah.
And then in the mid 1960s there was that puppet little thing by
Oh.
Rankin and Bass that they still show. It was on like
Oh.
a couple of nights ago or something.
Oh,
And
okay.
with Burl Ives. Burl
Oh.
Ives lives forever.
Wow, yeah.
He's never, like I said, if you clue into anything Christmassy, that every year and they repeat it every year, then
Yeah.
you have you'll never go out of style.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For one thing, Christmas is not really it's not really about innovation or new. It's a return to the old ways. We get, whenever you see any like imagery on Christmas cards about Christmas and stuff, it's almost all, top hats and scarves and that type of thing, snow. And I think that comes from Dickens, A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
And that hit home so much, A Christmas Carol with Scrooge and everything,
Hmm.
that when we think of old time Christmas, we think of that.
Right, right.
You think of that, and so yeah, and by the way, I was last week we were talking about in the old ways, and people asked me what was because I come from a small town, and they said what was with my hometown. They said what was the swinging '60s like in your small town? With the
Right.
Carnaby Street and the Beatles and everything.
Oh yeah,
And I
yeah.
always said the swinging '60s in my hometown lasted until 1984. 1950s no, the 1950s lasted until 1984. The '60s grew totally skipped. People still had crew cuts and and navy tattoos, and I mean
Oh wow.
oh, I say this all the time. Sometimes you really want to get something out of the youth, like show your
Yes.
kids or show younger people you might meet, or if you're a school teacher, show it to your students what your pictures as a kid look like,
Yeah.
and they'll blow their mind. They'll look at my pictures and they'll say, "Why do all the men have crew cuts and horn rimmed glasses and skinny ties? Why do the women all have beehives? Why do all the cars have fins?" And those babies in the pictures, cloth diapers? Yeah. So how old are you?
Yeah.
But my dad. But then if you even move on to like people who were born in the '70s and '80s,
Yeah.
you'll see crazy stuff like leisure suits.
Uh,
You'll see like big sideburns
yeah.
and big mustaches, and
Yeah.
the parents and all.
Yeah.
Look at check though, like wedding photos of some people. They with the funny hairstyles and the funny clothes and everything.
Yeah.
Funny tuxedo, powder blue tuxedos. I mean, they were wearing powder blue tuxedos at like the prom season when I was a kid. You know.
Yeah.
So but my dad he's really old, and he showed us baby pictures of him
Oh,
in New
wow.
York City. I'm not kidding you. There's horses and buggies in his picture.
What?
He's from New York City, and there were no cars in New York City, and those people didn't have them, but there were plenty of milk wagons
Mm.
and icemen on, with
Wow.
horses and buggies. So, man, it's like the Wild West. we, we, like he was born in Montana or somewhere or Deadwood. What the Oh man. So anyway,
Wow.
so in Ireland, when I was living in Ireland, Ireland was still like living in my hometown. It might be better now, but it was still kind of moved very slowly and backward. And terms were weird. Uh, uh, there's a funny moment in there's a funny moment in the movie Seven where that there's a serial killer and Brad Pitt is the young cop, and Morgan Freeman is the old cop. And he
Right.
goes, evidently Brad Pitt is reading this. Evidently, the murderer bases all his murders on the work of the Marquis de Chardin. And Morgan Freeman, in that voice says, "That's Marquis de Sade. It's not Chardin, like the singer." But I was a few days ago. I was in a car with a little kid, a relative, and we were looking at license plates. Oh
Mhm.
look, there's one from Colorado. Oh, there's one from New York. Oh, there's one from Pennsylvania. And the kid yelled out, "I see one from Florida." Florida.
You mean Florida.
I never thought that the singer Flo Rida his pronunciation of the word would mess up a whole state full of people and beaches and Disney World. I'm going to Florida for Disneyland, Disney World. Florida. I love Miami, Florida. But another singer that's kind of messed up pronunciation is we when I was working in the law, we there was a contract, and the person's name was their last name. Tell me how you pronounce this, and you know the name Bowie.
Bowie.
Of course, you're going to say Bowie.
Bowie.
It's not pronounced Bowie. It's pronounced Bowie.
Bowie.
And there's a
A
famous.
lot of people have been saying that, but I didn't know.
No, no, there's nothing wrong with what you thought. It's just that Bowie. I mean, Bowie is a popular name at one time. Bowie, Jim Bowie died at the Alamo. There's the Bowie knife. There's a famous singer in England called David Jones,
Yes.
and he changed his name to David Bowie,
Yes.
but to be after the knife. But then said, "Well, Bowie, I'm going to change it all together and call it Bowie." So then, and what happened? He became more popular than Jim Bowie. So now, when you read anything about the Alamo in class, you're always going to get some kid said, and then the heroic Jim Bowie. Yeah, I shouldn't make fun of Jim Bowie and the Alamo, and Davy Crockett and all those. But
Yeah.
it's Bowie. It's Bowie.
Bowie. Okay.
But I mean, isn't that weird?
Yeah, no, it's
I mean,
weird.
when I see it, I say Bowie too. I
Yeah.
mean, because I'm so used to
Yeah, I
the,
know.
the popular singer with the heroes and Major Tom.
My mom used to call it Bowie too. So
No, everyone calls him Bowie.
yeah.
In fact, there was a way when we were kids, like if we bought an album, a David, about heroes or Major Tom or whatever, he Life on Mars. Your mother would grab it and say, "David Bowie, never heard of him." you know. And then we'd say, ah, you don't know anything. It's pronounced Bowie. I'll tell you something funny about. I was watching a show once. And this is really funny. My dad. It was the Tony Randall show. No, not the Odd Couple, but he was a judge on it. And he was a. You remember Tony Randall? He had that funny,
Oh yeah, yeah,
great voice.
yeah.
And Tony Randall would. Tony Randall would was always on his high horse and always thought you see him on talk shows. He's very entertaining.
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
probably the best talk show guest ever.
yeah.
And he's on the first Conan O'Brien show, and he's like the third guest, and he complains the whole time he's sitting there. I wish I was your first guest, but I'm only your third guest. That's on the first episode. John Goodman, I think, is the first guest.
Right.
So what happened was Tony Randall was had this show where he played a judge, and there was the plot wasn't so important, but this is what's important to me was his secretary is saying, one of the clients came in here and said that, and he raised such a big brouhaha about everything, brouhaha, and so my dad is not. We were a bunch of little kids in front of the TV, and my dad's like reading the paper, and he goes, "That's not pronounced brouhaha. Don't they have their things? Don't they have people that know how to pronounce things? It's pronounced brouhaha. You ever heard the word brouhaha? It means raise a fuss. Brouhaha.
Oh, brouhaha.
Okay. I don't know where it sounds French maybe.
Yeah.
But brouhaha. So anyway, I'll never forget this. So then, Dad he puts, just keeps reading his paper, and we keep watching it. We don't really care what he has to say. We're little kids, and he's a grown-up man, lording it over that he has money and power, and we don't have anything.
Right.
So anyway, later in the show, the same secretary says the same thing to Tony Randall, who's now in the scene, and he said that client made such a brouhaha about everything. And I'm going to do my imitation of Tony Randall. And this is how he said it. And you be the secretary. He said, brouhaha. 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 My dad was right.
Right.
Also, my dad also was watching, I think, Donahue.
Oh,
Phil
yeah.
Donahue.
Yeah, that's an old
And it's an old show, and he's still around. He's married to Marlo Thomas from That Girl.
Yeah.
And he mentioned, I don't know what the show was about, but he mentioned the word, irregardless of everything else, we must check things out or something. He said irregardless, and my dad said, irregardless? That's not a word. That's not a word, irregardless. It's a made-up word. Everyone thinks it's a word, but it's not a word. In fact, if you want to know how much people read, see if they use the word irregardless. I think just like this year, the Oxford Dictionary said it's now a word because of popularity, and and someone said no, it should never be a word. Ain't should never be a word, and irregardless should never be a word.
Right.
They're good litmus tests to see how much people know. But the next day, the guy Donahue had to begin the show and say, yesterday I used a word that everyone got, that I got all these letters sent and phone calls about, irregardless. Yes, now it was just a slip of the tongue. I know it's not a word. I don't know how it came out of my mouth, and I should have corrected it at the time. It's regardless. A lot of phrases that you got to know, like, well, he's so different than me, but it's not different than me. It's different from me.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll see they'll say no potato chip is better on an ad or something. And the real phrase is no other potato chip is better. But the one I hear an awful lot, and I never hear really smart people say it. I only hear like people who don't know a whole lot.
Yeah.
They'll say, I could care less. And that's not the right phrase. The phrase is, I could not care less. Because if you could care less, you would care less.
Yeah. exactly.
But if you could not care less, that means you pretty much hit the bottom of that of your interest in something.
Right.
I could not care less about what's going on.
Yes.
So I hope we educated. We try to make this
Yes.
show. We should put this on the educational channel
Yes.
on the TV.
On PBS.
On PBS. Put it on when the kids are in school.
We could be on Sesame Street.
Yeah, Sesame Street.
Or, some other thing.
My friend told me when Sesame Street came out, I said, have you learned a lot on Sesame Street? And he's a little older than me, and he said, "No, I didn't learn it. I've only learned one thing on Sesame Street." I said, "What's that?" He goes, "How to be a grouch."
Oh,
Also,
man.
I have a little sister, and she loves Sesame Street. I said, "You love Sesame Street?" "Oh yeah, I love Sesame Street." I said, "Is there anything you don't like about Sesame Street?" And she said, um, "Too many commercials." Today's Sesame Street brought to you by the letter K and the letter C, that type of thing, and by the number 4, and she thought those were real commercials. She thought they advertised like they do look like commercials. I guess they know that kids will watch commercials, so they put a lot of that on Sesame Street.
Right.
Never. Who was your favorite on Sesame Street?
I liked Big Bird.
Big Bird. So many people tell me they love Big Bird.
And I also like Cookie Monster, Ernie, Bird,
Yeah.
Prairie Dawn, and
Yeah.
I was trying to think of the other ones. I forgot that one, but I know it's Prairie Dawn. Betty Lou. I think
Betty
it's
Lou.
Betty Lou. Yeah.
I like.
I like them all.
Well, you're talking about the Muppets, and the only Muppet I really liked was Oscar the Grouch. Bert and Ernie were good. Um, we actually had a Bert doll, not an Ernie doll, and we just played with that thing all the time. It looked just like. I mean, it looked like you could actually do a show with it. It looked just like Bert.
Yeah.
And we were just playing with it all the time. We had a lot of fun with that Bert doll. We weren't rich enough to get both Ernie and Bert. They sold them separately.
Yeah.
And then
I remember my cousins when they were little. They used to have a stuffed Grover.
Grover.
Yeah, and one of my little cousins went. He will hate when you take it away from him.
Oh, he was
Yes.
protectful of Grover.
Yes.
I don't remember I mean, I know Grover, but I didn't really find them all that appealing. I remember there was something came after Grover. Was it Elmo? That seemed to have everything Grover had and more. So, and then you didn't really see Grover so much. You never saw.
I used to have a stuffed Cookie Monster and a Big Bird.
Yeah. You never see Miss Piggy on Sesame Street. She's only on the Muppet Show.
Muppets, yeah. Because she's on the Muppets.
Yeah, but I mean, they actually had a rule when Disney bought the Muppets that they couldn't touch the ones from Sesame Street. Yeah, so they can't make movies about the Sesame Street Muppets. But there was a there was a lot, for some reason Sesame Street you could watch it over and over again when you were a kid.
Yeah.
And it was never the same show. I mean, every time you saw a show, half of it was stuff you've already seen.
Right.
But they seemed to put it together so it looked like make it fresh again.
Right.
And there was I remember there was I still laugh at this. It's so funny. They there was a game show with I didn't even know Cookie Monster had a wife, and they were and he was there and he was answering questions. I guess the questions were important to everything. And then what happened was it was like a grand prize. He had a choice of two things. It was a package. You could get like $1 million, a trip around the world, a mansion, and a sports car.
Right.
Or you could have a cookie. So he goes to his wife, and they're talking over with your wife, and he says to the wife, "You like the fancy house? Yeah. You like the fancy car? Yeah. Do you want the trip around the world? Yeah. Do you want the $1 million? Yeah. Yeah." It says, "We made our decision. Cookie."
I know he always has cookies.
You got your cookie, and he didn't even share it with his wife. He just gobbled the whole thing up and go, ah! He was happy. But there was but you get to a point where you get too old for Sesame Street.
Yeah, I still watch it on YouTube sometimes.
Yeah. Maybe 3 years ago, I got too old for Sesame Street. I kind of knew what was coming. One of the things that where I kind of got old for Sesame was when they had this three of these things go together. One of these things are not the same. And there was a little song they sang.
Yeah.
And then they would pick, and it was just so obvious to me.
Yeah.
It didn't really take a lot of thinking.
Right.
And then that and the count, where he would count things. He'd go 1 cookie, and then 2 cookies, 3, but he would do it so slow. Me, it's 1, 2, 3. That's what I mean. They need that. If he's going to count that slow, they need him like at the election headquarters, so for the recount of votes.
Right.
Because he's very thorough there.
Yeah.
Now, every time I come here, we always have nice records to look at. You have records. We have these are Christmas records, so let's take a look at them. Yeah. What do you want to start with?
I want to start with this one. Mm-hmm. This is by the Brass Band, and it's similar to Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass. It's not them, but they sound like them. So, but this is a really good album.
It's like a mariachi band.
Yeah,
like a Mexican sounding.
Yeah, kind of like that. It's called Winter Wonderland. Okay.
Does she come with it? No. It's the old song. Now, what songs are on here? What are the songs? What is like your favorite song on there?
I like
because I see Winter Wonderland and
Jingle Bells.
You like Jingle Bells?
Yes.
A good choice.
Yeah.
And the Skater's Waltz.
Oh, I love that one too. The Skater's Waltz.
Written by Waldteufel. It's the only. Is this a fast version with the brass band?
Yeah, it's most of it's pretty slow.
It's all slow songs. Okay, because I always think of Herb Alpert as being very fast.
Well, I think some of the songs are fast too. So.
Yeah. Jingle Bells, you can't sing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Skater's Waltz you could dance to, actually.
Right.
You could certainly skate to it.
Right. It's a good album. So,
yes. Yeah. Every time you go, we went skating last year, ice skating. Every time you go ice skating, I think Mary put a video of me skating. I'll try to put that somewhere because I really enjoy. Because I want to show people that at my advanced stage I can still skate. And the Skater's Waltz is always playing at ice rinks and everything. Yeah. Right. Okay, what else do we have? No, not that one. Try one of those other ones. The ones that's not so. Oh, okay. What's that?
The Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
The Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
And they do some really good Christmas music as well.
Yes.
And it's a church choir. And,
Mormon. How would you describe this music?
I would describe as like a cathedral hymn.
Yeah.
Like an operatic.
Yeah. Is it like like a church music? It's like a organ?
Yes.
Like a pipe organ?
Yes.
And they're singing to a pipe organ?
Yes.
Yeah. And this is tell me what's on there.
It's got Lo How Rose You're Blooming, Tell Us Shepherd Mates, Oh Little Town of Bethlehem.
I've heard of that one.
The Snow Lay on the Ground, The Shepherd's Story, For Christ is Born, Hark the Herald Angels Sing.
Another big winner.
While Shepherds Watch Their Flocks, The Coventry Carol, Silent Night, Holy Night.
Oh, Holy Night?
Silent Night.
Silent Night, okay.
Yes. Carol of the Bells.
Ding, da, da, dun, 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 dun. I know that from the Andre Champagne commercial.
Yeah. Glory to God in the highest. The Three Kings. Break forth, or beauteous. Let me see. I can't. My beauty
Is it
heavenly
Latin?
light. It's like a Latin sort of
Yeah,
it.
okay.
Yeah. Bethlehem night. What perfume this, O shepherds say?
Bethlehem night.
Christmas day, and O come all ye faithful.
Oh, come on, you think? Adeste Fidelis. Oh
Yes.
no, that's now you Bethlehem nights. Bethlehem nights don't sound like a real exciting place. Sound like Las Vegas. Let me tell you something. I have been to Bethlehem.
Oh.
You know that? I was in Israel, and I went all over, and it's in Israel.
Yeah.
But it's the Israelis don't really run the place; the Palestinians do.
Right. Right.
And we on our tour bus we drove through it so we could look at it. We just drove through it just to drive through it, and we couldn't get out. But the because because of security and everything, and
Right.
it was run by the Palestinians,
Right.
and so but the tour guide, Israeli, winked at us and said, if Israel actually ran Bethlehem, you'd be able to get out
Right.
and look
Right.
around. We also drove through another place that's run by the Palestinians in Israel is Jericho. And Jericho is, the reason why, there's certain, for peaceful, to keep peace and everything, the, certain areas are segregated, sadly, with Jewish people and with Christian people sometimes,
Right.
and Muslim people, the Palestinians. So what would happen was, they gave like control of Jericho to
Right.
the Palestinians to let them run it the way
Right.
they can.
Right.
And they said, why do well, people get up in arms? Why were you giving away these sacred areas? Because, well, contrary to a lot of places in Israel, the Holy Land, there's not a whole lot of Jewish history in Jericho. There's not even any ruins in Jericho. And they said, what do you mean? He goes, well, those walls of Jericho, they're not there anymore. In fact, the walls came tumbling down. Yeah. It makes all the sense in the world now.
Yeah.
If the walls come tumbling down, let them have it. And the walls come tumbling down. Yush with the bottle of Jericho. With the battle of Jericho, and the walls come tumbling down. We're singing it like a singer. But why am I talking about Israel? What I should be talking about is Utah, because that's where the Mormon Tabernacle is based. That's where the Mormon Church, the temple, the Great Temple of Salt Lake, I think it's called. And it's you can't really go in there unless you were like a chosen member of the Church of Latter-day Saints.
Oh, wow.
And the Mormon churches, some people call it. And so I was in Utah, and it's kind of it's not for a big city with a basketball team and everything. You expect more fun there. I mean, I was there visiting friends, so we found their fun. But something like Thursday nights, they have a free rehearsal. There's a line to get into it, but they let maybe. It's like anything. They let 50 people in, and then if 50 people leave, then they let another 50 in, and then it goes on like for several hours. And I, of course, got in line with my friends, and we got to sit down, and it was great to hear. And they were just rehearsing, but their rehearsals sounded like real after every once they finished the song, a hymn all the way through, everyone clapped because they were quite impressive.
Yes.
But Salt Lake City, very nice city. People are very healthy. They don't smoke or drink.
Right.
It's a good place to go if you want to give that stuff up.
Right.
If you want fresh air. The only problem is Salt Lake City or Utah is in mountain time. So there's a lot of hunting and fishing and stuff, and a lot of mountains. And thus, when you want to know the time of things, it's right. The next time zone is Pacific time, which is California time. And then West Coast time, and then you have in the middle Chicago time, which is Central time.
Right.
And most people in America are familiar with Eastern time, which is New York time, where most people, I guess most people in America live.
Yeah.
But hardly anyone lives in Mountain Time, except for people in Utah and people in Colorado. You know, Denver and I think Salt Lake City are only major cities of Mountain Time, so don't even bother even mentioning it on the. And there'll be, you know, they'll say it's at 7:30 Eastern, 8:30, no, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, and 3:30 Pacific. These are usually football games or something, and they never mention Mountain Time because the few states that are there, no one cares. No one, no, there's not enough people to. They usually know what time it is anyway.
Right.
I was in Arizona, and they don't have any they don't change their time in Arizona or certain parts of Arizona. They still are they never change their clocks. So they're
Right.
always they're even I mean it's like you want to watch a football game, it's like 5:30 in the morning or something because they've never changed the clock. It's weird how that works out. All right, what's next? And thanks for picking it. The one one I know a little bit about these things, but I had no real jokes to say about one of them. So check the one you were going to bring out.
I was gonna bring this
Oh,
one.
bring this one out. Okay.
Joy to the world.
And
And it
she
has.
and does the dog and the camel sing?
No, it's just a little art print thing.
Is that supposed to be? Oh, it's supposed to be Mary, I guess. Mary.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Mary.
Okay.
Mary and the baby Jesus. And it's got various artists singing on this.
This is from this. I'll show you a quick picture. It actually is from the Baptist bookstore. But what's really interesting is that it's Columbia. It's the Columbia Records. We mentioned the Columbia Records last week, and Columbia Records has all these people under contract in the I guess 1960s or 70s when this came out. Tell me who's on there.
Okay. It's got
Now tell me what songs they sing. Yeah.
Joy to the World by Jim Neighbors.
Oh, Shazam!
Yes, Shazam!
Golly!
Shazam! It came upon a midnight fair by Vicky Carr.
Vicky Carr. Okay, keep on going. Yeah, I have something to say about Vicky.
The Little Drummer Boy by the Raycon of Singers.
Mm-hmm.
Away in a Manger by Julie Andrews.
Julie Andrews, yes.
Angels Be Off Her Own High by Carol Lawrence and Robert Goulet.
Oh, they were married at the time, and thus they were singing a lot. Carol Lawrence, everyone knows Robert Goulet, the guy who mentioned last week who forgot the lines to the Star Spangled Banner. But Carol Lawrence was in the original West Side Story. The I guess the character that Natalie Wood plays in the movie. Yes, go ahead.
Deck the Halls with Boughs of Holly with Percy Faith and his orchestra.
Yeah. Right.
White Christmas by Eydie Gorme.
Oh, Eydie Gorme.
What Child Is This by Charlie Bird.
Mm-hmm. Trumpet. He's a famous trumpeter, right?
Yes,
Charlie Bird,
yes.
Jazz guy. Yeah.
I got a couple of his albums too.
Yeah.
So. Go Tell It on the Mountain by Mahalia Jackson.
Who we talked about last week.
Yeah. We Through Kings of Orient are by Andre Castellanets.
Oh, Andre Castellanets.
Yes.
For a short time was the conductor of the New York Philharmonic.
Yes.
I think in the days there was times when Zubin Mehta couldn't conduct, and he was the conductor.
Right.
And he was like always a guest conductor, but he was there so often. He was almost there all the time. Andre Castellanets was a very good orchestra conductor. Yeah.
Yes. So that's all.
Is that okay? Eydie Gorme, of course. Eydie Gorme sadly died about a few years ago. She was famously married to Steve Lawrence.
Yes, and she was.
And they had a lot of hits. She was on
the Nanny.
On the Nanny.
And with her husband Steve Lawrence.
With Steve Lawrence, they were very good marriage. Very good. He sadly, I think, has Alzheimer's now, and she died a few years ago. But I think Johnny Carson said Steve Lawrence was like his favorite guest, and one of his favorite guests. They always had a good time on there. Steve Lawrence is in the Blues Brothers movie, plays their manager.
Right.
Also, but Eydie Gorme, in her day was a very popular Latin singer, even though she was American. And like a lot of people, she would sing in English and in Las Vegas with her husband and on television. Yeah, she'd have some hits. She had one big hit, "Blame It on the Bossa Nova."
Yes, I was going to say that.
And what happened was, it was such a big hit for her. They said, "This is your niche. can you sing songs in Spanish or Turkish or all these other things? And then she became not in America, but in Latin America and the Middle East became very popular singing non-English lyrics to the songs, and she had lots of
Oh,
hits, and but you would
right,
never know them.
right, right. Oh,
They had I just found out recently that they had a hit in America um, called Hallelujah, not the Leonard Cohen version, but it was a Israeli version that won, I think, the Eurovision Song Contest or something, and it became very popular around the world. And they recorded it, and it became a big hit. And but they did not put their names on it, Steve and Eydie. They put fake names on there. So the kids would buy it because if they saw Steve and Eydie's name, they just thought, "Oh, they're just those old timers from Las Vegas." But it was a very good song, Hallelujah. I
yeah,
think I could find it, put it in the
right,
comments. And
right.
but yeah, Edie. Oh, I have one last thing to say about Eydie Gorme. They were always appearing on talk shows and on. Bill Maher had a show, the show he has now, but real time. But he had a show called Politically Incorrect, and she was once on it without her husband, and we never saw. You usually don't see celebrities talk a lot about politics, and she started talking on and on about politics. She was rather old-fashioned in her values and all, and she was against, like a lot of conservative values, old straight-laced stuff. But she would actually almost bully the person she was. The opponents of what she was saying. She kept on and on. Even Bill Maher was getting kind of fed up with her. And then right at the end, her husband came out of nowhere from him backstage and put his hand over her mouth.
That's
One of the
funny.
funniest things ever. He wasn't even a guest on the show. And of course, when they saw him, everyone applauded. But they were a very good couple, and it's so sad, how things are going for her and now him. But in their day, they were great.
Yeah, yeah,
Eydie Gourmet, they're both fine singers. Yeah,
yeah,
he had a
yeah.
hit, "Go Away, Little Girl."
Oh, yeah,
Steve Lawrence.
yeah.
They both started on the Steve Allen Show in the 1950s. They were only like early 20s, late teens, I think.
Oh,
They
okay.
married very young and
Yeah,
stayed married their whole lives. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, who else is on there? Oh, Vicky Carr.
Vicky Carr,
I was
yeah.
in Las Vegas. I never intended to see Vicky Carr, but I went to see Rich Little,
Mm.
and the opening act was Vicky Carr. Vicky Carr is just like I mentioned about Eydie Gorme, big hit in Mexico and in Latin America, singing songs in Spanish. Now you can't really tell from her name, Vicky Carr, but Vicky Carr is from Mexico,
Oh,
and she speaks fluent Spanish.
no.
But you tend to think of her with the song "It Must Be Him, It Must
Right.
Be Him." That was
Must.
in the movie Moonstruck. The one
Yeah,
song the father
yeah,
plays over and over again.
right.
And Vicky Carr, very fine singer, very fine pop singer, and she like Eydie Gorme, big hit in Latin America, not as somewhat hit or had her day in America. But once you get into Las Vegas, where I saw her, it's they just back up the Bronx truck and just throws money at you to stay there if you can bring the people into your hotel. So yeah. So Vicky, Rich Little was great. When I went to Las Vegas, I wanted to see Frank Sinatra and Don Rickles and Shecky Green and Buddy Hackett and Dean Martin and Sammy Davis, and I didn't get this. All those people were out of town the week I was there. So I said, well, who's left to see? I said, well, Rich Little was in town, so I went to see Rich Little. Rich Little was great. Rich Little imitated Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis and and Don Rickles and Jackie Green and Buddy Hackett and it was almost like seeing them. So I didn't really miss out on not seeing those people because the guy was imitating them so well.
Right, right, right.
So there. So that's a good album. Joy to the
Yes.
show that album again. Joy to the world.
Joy to the world.
Yes.
It's an awesome album.
Awesome. Okay.
Yes.
And what other albums? Shows. We'll
We
get to all these albums. We have about 12 or 14. Oh, no, we have a few. We have about a couple more left. Okay, what's this one?
This album is called Songs for the Holidays.
Okay.
But this you had to buy from Hallmark back in the day. It was
If they
popular
buy
when
it at Hallmark,
it
do
was,
I have to watch their TV movies? There's Christmas movies they show all year round.
you had to maybe buy something so they'll give you like a
Hallmark give you something free? I've never. That's a
yeah, I
surprise.
remember they
Everything
gave
is
us
so
a
expensive at Hallmark.
I remember they gave us a cassette tape years
Yeah.
ago. Kind of similar to this.
Now, what's the back of it look like? I mean, can you read? It's a guy.
It's a couple there.
They write all these songs?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. What are the songs?
Yeah.
I mean, are these popular songs we might know?
Yes. Sleigh rides, silver bells, the holly and the ivy, silent night,
Oh, I've heard of
oh
that one.
Tannenbaum, oh holy night,
Okay.
Home for the holidays, Christmas hymn, the Christmas song, carol of the bells, Ave Maria, here we come a caroling.
There you go.
So,
Oh, that's a good one. Here we come. Okay.
caroling, I'm on the leaves so green.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah, so this is inspired by Hallmark. So.
Yes.
It's a beautiful album too.
It's a reminder that you got to send your Christmas cards. Sometimes you forget. Someone will send you a Christmas card like the day, like you get it on Christmas Eve, and then for somehow, oh, I forgot to put them on my list. Hallmark should have like their own delivery service, and when you get a Christmas card, airmail special delivery, telegram, you know that those people forgot all about you in the Christmas card list. You see, I can't see anything. Home for the holidays. Carol. The Christmas song. Okay, the Christmas song. I met the man who wrote that song.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Jack Frost nipping at your nose.
Yes.
Yuletide carols be a song by a choir. And folks dress up like Eskimos. Everybody knows. Some have some turkey and some mistletoe to help to make the season bright. Many times, many ways, Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you. And I can't think of a better way to end the show. I met Mel Torme when he came to town. He wrote the song. So anyway, let's end the show. What do you have? What is your message for all of our fans?
I just want to say, I hope you all have a happy holiday and a Merry Christmas, and may God bless you all. Thank you all for tuning in.
You're watching the Mary Elizabeth Variety Hour Christmas edition. We will be coming your way soon, sooner than you think. Happy you enjoy the show. I'm the announcer. My name is Kaye Lazar, and thank you for the wonderful. You made 2020 wonderful, and thank you for making this Christmas season great for all of us.
Thank you so much, guys. You stay healthy so we can get ready, prepare for the Christmas holiday spirits.
Merry Christmas, everybody.